Uh.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
This is Bobby Okereke, inside linebacker for the Indianapolis Colts, and you are tuning into the Blue Stable Podcast.
A new day and a new era is upon us, ladies and gentlemen, especially here at the Blue Stable Podcast. We have much news to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. But before we do that, you already know what it is. If you enjoy the Blue Stable, if you enjoy watching our content, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell. That way you are notified anytime content drops on our channel. Now, without further ado, let's introduce all of you guys to the crew. Marcus, what's up, man? First, we got to get to you because you weren't on the emergency pod, so we gotta get your feelings on how you're feeling. Sam Ehlinger season is here. Okay, we all know by now. If you haven't, obviously, Sam Ehlinger is quarterback one. But Marcus, before we get things going, we got to get your opinion, man. Since you missed out, what is your reaction to Sam Ehlinger season?
I'm excited. I'm definitely excited for the move. Not holding him to high expectations because we know how that goes with the young QB. I feel like this moment should have been done 2 years ago, personally, because he's been here on the roster, and we went out to get two vets. That was the last minute options, which just was a waste of time and the morals at the end of it. So, but Matt Ryan taking it like a leader, still being that true vet that everyone needs on that roster. I mean, it's good for him, but it sucks in the long run. But I'm excited for Sam Ehlinger to see what he do. I mean, the sky's the limit for this guy. We haven't really seen him with the actual roster. We've seen him with third string, second string, practice squad guys, but he's out there with the ones. So, I mean, to see if he could open up this Frank Reich offense that's been abysmal for 2 seasons, he finally got him a mobile quarterback and a young guy at that as well. He's not had a young quarterback in a very long time. So I'm kind of excited to see what happens. Like I said, sky's the limit. If we lose, we lose. Go get a pick. If we win, hey, we're supposed to win anyway, but it is what it is. I'm excited.
And Landon, obviously, those of you, Landon Oliver, obviously, our new analyst joining the Blue Stable Podcast. We talked about it on Tuesday. You're expecting some solid things from him. You believe in him. You're not saying he's going to come in and win 11 games or anything like that, but you see a light at the end of the tunnel for this guy.
Yeah. He's, I went in on it a little bit on the last pod, but yeah, there's stuff to like. There's stuff he needs to work on, but it's not a bare cupboard. I don't think you're throwing him in there in a moment that's going to be too big for him. I do agree they're relying on him to basically save their jobs, and it's a lot on his plate. But like I said earlier, if there's anybody that's up to the challenge of overcoming obstacles, it's Sam Ehlinger. So yeah, I'm excited. He has some stuff to work on still, but like I said, it's not a bare cupboard in there. It's not, we're not throwing out a guy that just can't play at all. But that's the beauty of it. We don't know. Nobody knows. It's exciting. It's good or it's bad. Nobody knows. We'll see.
If it's good, it's a win. If it's bad, it's a win. So it's a win-win in any case, and that's what you called it on Tuesday, Landon. So guys, before we get into all this, we're going to get into some hot, juicy topics here in a little bit. And hell, I made my debut on the Pat McAfee show for not so good reasons. We'll get into that here in a minute. But Matt Ryan finally got a chance to get some microphones, some cameras in front of him after this decision. And you could tell on his face, he's upset. He's disappointed. And I mean, he even said it. He's disappointed. As a competitor, you want to be out there and everything. And I feel it's so disrespectful. So just so disrespectful to Matt Ryan to bench him for a guy who in the NFL sense is nothing, who has shown nothing, who has amounted and done nothing in his career. And you let this guy down. You promised him a bit of goods that nothing came to fruition. I mean, he got the defense to back up the offense. You got the defense, but you don't have the production from the tight end room. You don't, well, not where it needs to be. You don't have the offensive line, run game, protection, and the run game has been poor. So now, I mean, we just the pro that Matt Ryan is being about all of this. We everyone talked about it when he was potentially coming to Indianapolis and when the trade went down. Leadership, all pro, just a professional all the way around. And he could easily sit here and pout about it. He could make a big deal in the media, but what he's doing, he's at practice, and we could see the little clips that go on Twitter. He's working with Sam Ehlinger. He's teaching them the ins and outs and how to run the offense, how things need to be executed from the quarterback standpoint. And I can't think of a better situation for Sam Ehlinger to be in, not only to have Frank Reich, but to have Matt Ryan by your side. And hell, even Nick Foles, right? Even Nick Foles, he's done something. He's done something that only 56 people on this planet Earth has ever done, and he's won a Super Bowl MVP. So, guys, what was your reaction, and how do you feel, not only when the announcement is made, but seeing how Matt Ryan feels about it? Obviously, we know it was another failure at the quarterback position from Chris Ballard and Frank Reich, but just how do you feel for Matt Ryan? Landon, I'll start with you.
Yeah. First off, like you said, the guy is an absolute pro. He really is. I wouldn't expect anything less from a veteran like that. And a guy with the mental fortitude that he has. But I will say this, and this might rub people some wrong way, but it's just the facts. He hasn't helped himself either in this situation. You cannot turn the ball over at that rate and expect to play winning football. Any of the other 53 guys on that roster perform like that. They turn the ball over. Well, except Matt Pryor and Brandon Faison.
Yeah, I was about to say, what about those guys?
But that being said, I mean, whenever you play like that, and I know the offensive line, I don't really necessarily agree that the tight end room is that bad. I think they weren't being utilized properly. And I think Matt actually kind of missed some throws to them that were open, and that's not really on them. The wide receiver room has been just fine outside of, the game where, Pittman was out, Pierce was out. They were running a skeleton crew out there, but the weapons have been fine. Really, it boils down to the old line to me. But even then, he hasn't done himself any favors with his play. And I think he recognizes that. I think he knows in this league, you have to perform. You cannot turn the ball over at a clip. What is this? 11 fumbles, 9 interceptions. I mean, that's 20 times in 7 games that you've put the ball in danger, and you're putting your defense in bad positions. And not all of it's on him, but a lot of it is also. He's not blameless in this. So while, it sucks, and I agree they did fail him, they didn't live up to their promise, like Frank Reich said. At the same time, it's welcome to the NFL. He knows the business better than almost anybody. And at the end of the day, the bottom line is you either perform or we find somebody else who will. And I think that's a lot of what happened here. And I think they know that the line is not going to get better. They can't protect him properly. And it's a disservice to him, honestly, to keep him behind that offensive line. You're talking about a guy that he's missed 3 games in his entire 15-year career. And he made it 7 games and he's already hurt here because of the offensive line in front of him. So, shitty situation, just to not mince words. It's a shitty situation, but that's the reality of the NFL. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. But yeah, Matt's awesome. He's a pro. He'll handle it like a pro, and he'll be ready whenever, either his time is called upon if he is needed, or next year he'll keep preparing.
Yeah, if you would have told me before we got Matt Ryan that a veteran like him, a guy that made it to the Super Bowl, is going to go to the Colts and he's going to get benched, I would have called you crazy, because nobody in their right mindset would have seen this happening. Of course, when we looked at it on paper in the offseason, bringing in Matt Ryan after our last quarterback carousel situation was like, okay, this dude is miles ahead of him. But I mean, it's the same unfortunate scenario. And now we got to start looking at the bigger picture besides just the quarterback play. It's like, okay, what is this team doing? What are the plays being called? Like, how are we going to be helping the next quarterback in line for what we got going on? And that's like a semi feeling that I have towards with Sam Ellinger, even though he's young, he's mobile. Arm strength is kind of decent, but it's not all the way there. He still has to develop that. We've seen the progress, but I think he still has ways to go. But that's just the question that I ask myself every week from now on after this move that Matt Ryan was made. Of course, he was upset and everything, and I totally understand. But like I said, with the NFL and how it is now, the whole offense has changed. Like it's a whole different type of tempo for what Matt Ryan played 15 years ago in the NFL. So like it's more fast paced. You see more mobile quarterbacks, a lot of more play actions, and young guys out there. And with Sam Ellinger, they might feel like that's the missing piece for the Colts in the way that this offensive line is structured. So I can definitely see why they did this. And Matt Ryan being Matt Ryan, he's a great guy, great leader. That's another thing that the Colts is missing, in my opinion, personally, at the quarterback position. But him being that and deciding to take that role maybe might open up a door for him in the future, becoming like a quarterback coach or something even better than that. So I love the progress that he made with this announcement. Of course, he wants to be out there, but I think he understands it as well. Like I said, I love the guy Matt Ryan for him still being on the roster, and we'll see where the future takes him. But I mean, the sky's the limit for Sam Ellinger with him being behind him.
Yeah, I feel. I mean, 2 years in a row, you're just wasting assets on guys that are not the answer. Third and first round pick on Carson Wentz. He's gone in 9 months, spent 9 months with the team. Spent a third round pick on Matt Ryan. He's benched in 6 months. Like, it's a failure. And for some reason, this move, I don't know why. I just keep reverting. And I mentioned it on Tuesday, Landon. I just keep going back to the fact that I feel like this move, kind of foreshadows Chris and Frank keeping their job regardless of the outcome. This is a find out what we have in the young guy. And if he's not it, let's go get the quarterback to get this thing turned around. I just can't escape that feeling. Okay. It's not anything I'm getting from inside the building. It's not inside I'm getting from a source. It's just my feeling that this is something that keeps their job. And we'll get to what these players in the locker room, and that's what my next point was going to be. How do the players in the locker room even feel about this? Obviously, if you've been listening to the sound bites and the inside locker room interviews and everything, the team was thrown off by this. They did not expect it. They were shocked, and they just didn't expect this. When do you ever see a pro like Matt Ryan get benched? And, they're not going to admit it publicly, but some of them are showing frustration for the incompetence and inconsistency at this position. I mean, even Michael Pittman came out and had a quote, and I have it right here in front of me. The Colts have done a really good job at bringing really great guys in here. Phillip Rivers, Hall of Famer. Carson Wentz, Super Bowl champ. No, he didn't play in the Super Bowl, but Super Bowl champ nonetheless. Matt Ryan, Hall of Famer. I can't control that. I just go out and play. I mean, what is he supposed to do? I think this, we'll get into that, how it affects him in a little bit, but I don't know, like even another quote here from Nyheim Hines. Look, man, we can help him play really well regarding Sam Ellinger. Look, man, we can help him play really well. And if we help him play really well, that changes his life forever. We're not going to be the reason he fails. And for those that are confused, if he plays well, it could change his life forever. He could be the franchise quarterback. He can land a big contract, gain financial security for the rest of his life. There's just frustration, and it's just another letdown. But those were our opening thoughts for all of this craziness going on. Now to move on to the next topic in this show. Should the Colts be, with the trade deadline coming up, should the Colts be buyers or sellers at the deadline? Now, I had a tweet that I put out. Everybody took it to heart, got way too emotional about it. I made my debut on the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah, you got in trouble.
I got in trouble. It wasn't for the reason that I thought I would make my debut on that show for, but this is something that I'm going to go back to it, and I have it pulled up right now. I made a tweet about, what was it? Can't remember if it was a day ago or 2 days ago. but I tweeted this. The NFL trade deadline is next Tuesday. I honestly think the Colts should seriously consider being a seller. Now, who would they trade? 5 guys come to mind. And the way I listed them, and I think the biggest, what hurt me here was how I listed them. I wasn't ranking them. I was just listing them where I had them. Matt Ryan, Shaquille Leonard, Stephon Gilmore, Yannick Ngakoue, Ryan Kelly. Shaquille Leonard liked this tweet. I made that he finds motivation in anything. It doesn't bother me. There's no hard feelings on my part to him or anything. But
hey, if he comes back and balls out this week, can you take credit for that?
I sure definitely am.
I know you will.
and I need 1.5% of that contract. That's what I need. I need compensation. Okay. But anyways, I want to talk about this, talking about being buyer or seller. And here's my case for a seller. Okay. Now, I get everybody in the comments. I mean, and thank you to everybody who engaged with this tweet, by the way, whether if it was positive or negative, whatever the case may be. We're all here to give an opinion. We're all here to share our thoughts. My job is to share my thoughts objectively. And I get where people come from not wanting to trade Shaquille. He's the heart and soul, and he's a culture guy. But here's my thing. I don't give a shit about culture. I really don't. Especially when you've been sub 500. Where does that culture get you? Has it gotten you to a Super Bowl? Has it gotten you to an AFC championship game? Has it even gotten you a wild card win? No. So why are we just going to sit around and, fans these days want to focus on the kumbaya of everything. And some people, obviously, I saw some tweets out there that I want to address. Nothing specific, but the general point. Oh my gosh. I hate to have Colts fans like this in the fan base. They love to turn their back on players. Let me correct something here real quick. Shaquille Leonard is my second favorite player on this roster. He was number 1 before Michael Pittman showed up. He is my second favorite player. I haven't turned on Shaquille Leonard. I never even said he was a bad player. I never said he sucked. I never said he was incapable of playing. I never said that. For the past, even from the offseason, it's been one thing and one thing only about him. His injury concerns. They are piling up, and he plays a position where the injuries have shown and proven that they are not going to slow down. So I'm sorry if you think that I'm a dick for trying to push him out because he's injured. I'm sorry, baby, but you should really pull back the curtain of the NFL scene and see what messed up conversations really happen inside all 32 buildings, because it is ugly. Should I remind you of what happened with Andre Sachtre 24 hours after he celebrated with his family for making the 53-man roster? We don't need to revisit that, do we? Why are we going to resell the guys? Because why wouldn't you? Landon Marcus, you're telling me if someone called you about Shaquille Leonard, you're not listening? You're not even considering. If somebody came to you and said 3 first-round picks right now, Shaquille Leonard, you're telling me no because, he just fits the locker room? Landon, what's your answer to that? If you were offered 2 or 3 first-round picks, 2 or 3, because Jamal Adams, a safety, got 3 first-round picks. Shaquille Leonard, the best linebacker in football, in my opinion, if you got 2, 3 first-round picks, you're telling me he's untouchable? With all the evidence that we have, he's injured and the defense is playing well without him.
Outside of probably I don't know, 4 players in football, I'm talking about in all of football, there's no such thing as untouchable. But to me, no, I'm not trading Shaq. I don't even think they should be buyers or sellers. I think they should stand pat. I think they should see what they have. You got to understand too. And I think this is the big disconnect is what's happening here is these guys are coaching for what many consider to be their jobs. They're trying to win games. I know the Sam thing, the optics of it looks like they're trying to tank. I promise you they're not trying to tank. This is just them looking for different avenues in a way to spark the offense. And they want to see what they have. This is coming from the top. This is from Irsay. But Frank's coaching for his job. Chris is probably depending on what happens, he might be watching Frank coach for his job. What are the what in what world are they doing that and then selling all of their good players also? And then on top of that, you have to look at, even if you don't get fired, you're likely wanting to, if things don't work out, build around a quarterback. So then why are you giving away assets that you're going to need, especially now with Carson Wentz? Like, we don't know. That's very high likelihood that's a third rounder now. That second rounder's gone. We already don't have a third rounder thanks to the Nick Cross trade. So now you're back to just first, second, and third rounder. You're going to need those assets to go get a quarterback if you do need one. So you're not buying anybody, but you're also not selling anybody, especially guys to me as crucial as Shaq Leonard. Like, I know the contract for off-ball linebackers, we can get into the analytics and discuss all that. That is what it is.
Well, I don't want that to be disputed. He is worth that contract.
I think he's worth every penny. And
it.
I'll say this too, as far as the injury thing goes, to me, like, I don't think it's necessarily concerned about injuries piling up, because he's played hurt for the last 4 years and they finally figured out what caused that injury. And this is him recovering from the cause of those injuries. This is the big major one. And people, like, I don't think people realize how big of, like, whenever they talk about Quentin Nelson or now Darius Leonard, people don't talk about how big of back surgeries are. Like, that is huge.
Nasty.
It takes
just look at Tyron Smith in Dallas.
Yeah, like, it takes a long time. I'm talking about like 2 years to get fully back to where you are. And he's working his way back very admirable. Like, that guy, there's some things that can't be measured. I mean, yeah, you can pull up the stats, you can pull up the money, you can pull up everything about him, the injuries, the missed games this year and all that, but there's something that guy has in him that rallies people to him and rallies the defense. And it, like, you can't teach just constantly being around the ball. Like, you either have that or you don't. And he has it. So yeah, I'm not selling Shaq Leonard. I'm not buying any players. I'm standing pat. I'm seeing what we have in that locker room. And then not only this too, this is my last point, and I'll let Marcus go. You also have to factor in that making moves in season, if you are going to be sellers in season, you also tank the value of some guys. We just saw a guy from Chicago get traded for a 4th round pick. That's likely, you're not getting firsts for Shaq Leonard right now. You're probably looking at seconds and possibly, 4ths or 5ths as a combo. So if you wait until the off season to deal some of these guys, when guys retire, guys get cut, teams are a little more desperate, they're looking for answers at situations, that value goes up. That's why you see trade value in the off season spike, as opposed to 4th rounders getting dealt, 5th rounders getting dealt, Christian McCaffrey going for 2nd rounders. Like you're almost handicapping yourself from what you could get in return for some of these guys if you sell in season. So I'd say you stand pat, see what you have in Sam, see what you have in your coaching staff and your front office. Depending on how things work out, then this offseason is when you make the moves.
I'm gonna respond, but Marcus, I want you to get in.
Yeah, for sure. Shaquille Leonard is probably the only guy I probably wouldn't get rid of. I do have a name I would get rid of, but if that's up to me, it definitely would probably be only Brandon Faison, because he is just the hugest liability on that defensive side of the football. So, and we could get any pick from him, it'll be worth it in the future.
Well, you probably have to send picks to get rid of him.
Yeah, man. So
it's a 1-year deal. Just cut his ass.
That's the only person I'm selling. So, I mean, for buyers' sakes, I mean, if you're interested, like, to be honest, this team and the way that we know how Ballard moves in the offseason, there's no way in the world he's either buyer or selling, because he'll get rid of somebody before he buys somebody. So, like, the way he moves is so, like, team oriented, built through the draft, yada yada yada. We get it. So, like, for Shaquille Leonard's sake, I definitely would keep him around, because he's just that energy you need on the defensive side of the football, whether he's playing or he's not. Like, he's just a huge spirit animal, especially for this team that needs it. The crowd is electric when he's around, and he's just electric in general. So he's definitely that voice that needs to be in the Colts locker room on a day in and day out basis, for sure.
So here's my response. And Landon, I know you mentioned in your soliloquy that why would you sell all of your good players? The players that I listed have either not seen the field, have not met expectations, and quite frankly, there's not a reason for them to be on this roster anymore. Matt Ryan, what's the purpose of him being on this roster anymore? If you're just going to go with Sam Ehlinger the rest of the season, what's the point of him now? If you, other than coaching, other than being there and helping Sam, why are you paying him $40 million? Why are you keeping him around? That's number one. Stephon Gilmore, he's the only one on this roster that I feel for, because this is not the situation he signed up for. He saw Matt Ryan come. He had Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor. Oh, that offense will have our back and we'll have theirs. This isn't the situation he signed up for. If he requests a trade, 32 years old, get something now while you can, because he may not be this at 33. Yannick Ngakoue, sell him immediately. Immediately. Oh, he has 4 sacks. He leads the team in pressures. I'm not seeing it. Like, it's like the New Day out there. Where is he at? Who? What's going on out there? One of the sacks was gifted to him. Russell Wilson just fell right into his arms. He didn't even touch an offensive lineman on that play. DeForest Buckner did all the work. Russell Wilson stepped up, and it was just like a Barney hug. Hey, that's all it was. And then Ryan Kelly. He's not a good player. Okay, even if it's something that you can get back for them, do it. For Shaquille Leonard, here's where I make my case. Now, I will say this. I do not want Shaquille Leonard gone. I will say that. But I have to bring an uncomfortable argument to the table, because this is realistic, because this is conversations that happen inside organizations. This is real conversations. Shaquille Leonard does not play a top 5 position in football. He does not. So when I say shop him, not only is his injury concerns scary, he's also recovering from his 4th concussion in his career. Why did Luke Kuechly retire early? Concussions. Again, he plays a position that it's proven injuries are not going to slow down. I am begging God that they slow down for Shaquille Leonard. But here's the thing. When you look at this roster and you look at the top 5 positions, is there any hope for the Colts? Okay, they're good at guard. They're good at off-ball linebacker, good at safety, good at running back. Where are you at quarterback? Where are you at left tackle? Where are you at corner? Stephon Gilmore, Brendan Faison, that's the future? Where are you at? But you want to prioritize non-premium player. That's my problem with Chris Ballard. Non-premium positions he's good at, but where is the youth and the hope for it? You're about to spend everything you have to go get a quarterback. And then after that, who are you paying to defend wide receivers? Who are you drafting or playing to defend whoever, or Sam Ehlinger or whoever quarterback of the future's blindside? Who? So I'm just thinking organizationally, it might be a good thing if it's not at the deadline in the offseason, because there's also proof that you can survive without Shaquille Leonard. It is, as much as people hate me saying this, this is a proven fact. And if you want to claim that it's not a fact, I got 7 games to show proof for you. You can survive without Shaquille Leonard. Just like you can survive without Quentin Nelson. Just like you can survive without Yannick Ngakoue. No one is beyond, oh, we can't be without this player. If you're not playing quarterback or pass rusher or left tackle, you are deemed able to replace, in my book. And he doesn't play pass rusher, doesn't play left tackle, doesn't play quarterback. And when I look at the future of those positions, wide receiver, you're good. Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, you're good. Corner, where are you at? What hope is there beyond this season? Left tackle, you're not going to draft one because you're going to go get a quarterback. Pass rusher, Kwity Paye, jury's still out on him, but he's shown good stuff and he's shown that he can be that. So the jury's still out on him. quarterback. That's just my thinking. That's my thinking. I wanted to make that point because I wanted to make sure people knew where I was coming from. And if you really didn't understand that soliloquy, for people who are in my DMs, you don't really know football. If you didn't understand what I'm coming from, you truly don't know football. You really don't. And you don't need to be anywhere near building a team outside of Madden. Okay. So that's just my thing that I wanted to get across. That's it. In terms of buyer, Landon, do you think, you just said they should just stand pat? In my opinion, going back to my last point, the only thing you really should be buying for is maybe pass rusher, left tackle, or quarterback. Other than that, who's giving up quarterback midseason? Who's giving up left tackle midseason? Who's giving up premier pass rushers midseason? I just don't see it, honestly.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you might have guys available, like Andre Dillard was available, Robert Quinn is available, but the price you're going to have to pay for those guys, it can take you out of being able to trade up and get that quarterback in the draft. And you don't want to handicap yourself whenever, it's not needed. And then I'll say this about Shaq Leonard, and this will kind of be like my last point on it, just to counter the off-ball linebacker stuff. Like I get the position, like it is what it is, but there are some players that play above their position. There's some players that impact the game on a higher level than what their position name is. That guy is one of them. Like, and it's not like a sample size of like, oh, well, last year he had this many turnovers. It's been from the moment he stepped on the field.
He does things. I think he had 19 tackles in his second game.
Yeah, I mean, like you're not looking at just a off-ball linebacker. So like just to put his position out there and say like you're paying an off-ball linebacker this much money. He's not just an off-ball linebacker. Like that, he should just be referred to as a playmaker and just leave it at that, because that's all he does. Like it's not a position thing. And if you want to make it a position thing, like does the guy play above that position? And the answer is clearly yes. So that's just like my thinking on it. And then not only that, but like what he means to the locker room, what he means to the city, like what he means to the team. Like it's I just don't move it. And I don't know, it's like semantics. Like it is what it is.
I get it, but I mean,
and yeah, like I agree. If somebody calls you up and says we'll give you 3 first-round picks for Shaquille Leonard, yeah, like you're probably taking that deal, because
I just want to make it known.
Do that though. Like what they're gonna do is mid-season, they're gonna call you up and say like, hey, we notice you're in a little bit of a bind. Would you be interested in taking him? We have a 2nd-round pick and a couple fourths to offer. And at that point, you're laughing and you're hanging up the phone.
Yeah. My whole point was I just wanted to present the argument for why it could happen. That's really it. Deep down, I think he will retire a Colt. I think he will be a Colt for the rest of his career. And I pray and hope to God that the injuries are behind him. That's it. And you are absolutely right, by the way. You're absolutely right. And I mean, technically, wouldn't he be a Mike linebacker in this system? So maybe not off ball really, but I don't want to spend talking about Shaquille Leonard, and he might be playing this Sunday, by the way. So maybe be returned for Shaquille Leonard. Hopefully injuries are going to be behind him, hopefully. But Sam Ehlinger still being the starter. Whose stock is up and who is down? Landon, I'm going to start with you on this. Well, real quick, I want to get Marcus in first. When you think about players who benefit from having Sam Ehlinger as QB1, who is one player that comes to mind for you? It could be offensive lineman, running back, whatever the case may be. Who's one player that comes to mind?
Kylen Granson. Man, this dude's stock got to go crazy, because, I mean, we had high hopes on him since we drafted him, being that one guy, especially when Matt Ryan came in. It's like, oh, he loves the tight ends, you target him, yada, 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 we get it. But for a mobile quarterback like Sam Ehlinger, and him being so short in that pocket, I feel like the tight ends could be a big use for him on those short passes, or maybe even across the middle of the field. Like, and Kylen Granson, his progress has been steady increasing over the last few weeks with Matt Ryan, and with Matt Ryan teaching Sam Ehlinger now, and with his play in the future, I definitely feel like the tight end group, especially Kylen Granson, could take a huge leap moving forward with this offense that Frank Reich may draw up for this young guy, because we haven't even seen a young guy in this Frank Reich offense. The last person I think was probably Jacoby Brissett. That was the youngest person, or maybe Philip Walker, but I don't think he really counts. But I think we can see something especially dynamic with this. This could possibly be a duo that we can look forward to in the future. Like I said, first game, it all based off potential, but I do think Kyler Granson could be that guy for sure. If I stole him from y'all, I'm sorry, but I do think that.
Yeah, to me, it's not necessarily one player, I guess. Like, can I use a unit? Can I just say the offensive line in as a whole? And yeah, like I think
They
like it's
definitely
all of
need
them.
some positivity, huh?
Yeah, and so I'll give you my reasoning behind this too. So I know you might laugh and say like, oh well, like they're still going to run the same guys out there. They're not going to just magically get better, and that's true. I agree. They're probably not just going to magically get better, but it's a lot more to me about what Frank Reich now can run with Sam Ellinger as a quarterback, as opposed to just Sam Ellinger as a player. Um, a lot of these RPOs, a lot of the quarterback reads, possibly even some quarterback runs, read options. All these things do, and you kind of heard it in the Jacksonville game with Trevon Walker when he called Matt Ryan a setting duck. We can just go after him. He's a setting duck. That was uttered. That is no longer the case now. And hopefully Frank Reich does this. I think he will personally, because this is the type of offense he wants to run. This is the quarterback that is made for some of the stuff he really likes to do in his offenses. So all this does is it stops these guys from crashing so hard in this pocket. Now, the internal pressure, that still worries me, of course, with Matt Pryor and Ryan Kelly, like consistently forgetting how to pick up stunts like every game, but you do have the element of his legs will provide adequate, ability. Like there were plenty of plays even this last week where if Matt Ryan is able to step up and move, and take the lane that was provided, he picks up positive yardage. And not only that, but you're also canceling out negative yardage of a sack. So it's kind of like a win-win. So that's just kind of like where I go with it. Is I think now the type of offense they run is more conducive to helping out the offensive line, along with the ability of Sam Ellinger to have. I think he has fantastic pocket presence, and on top of that, his mobility. I think the offensive line as a whole benefits from this.
Yeah. And I actually love the fact that we're all going in different areas with this. I think all of us, we're thinking Kylan Granson. Shout out to Marcus for that. And then Landon, that was good insight. My stock up is Frank Reich's playbook. That's my stock up because I believe there is more than maybe I believe there's 1/4 of his playbook that could not, or maybe even half of his playbook that could not get used with Matt Ryan at quarterback, because some of his designs, and remember that he ran some of this with Andrew Luck, whether if it was bootleg, play action, or even some, you know, um, designed runs for the quarterback, and he ran some with Carson Wentz. There wasn't so much run with Andrew Luck, obviously, because of you wanted to prevent him from getting hit. So I'm actually excited to see what he's got cooked up for Sam Ellinger going forward, because I want to see a little bit more bootleg, get some of them legs running, get him outside of the pocket. Maybe can he make some throws off script? Can he make some design throws on the run? Whatever the case may be, I am glad that Frank Reich is going to be able to use his playbook and open it up so much more than he would have been able to with Matt Ryan, because there are just some things that Matt Ryan couldn't do that Sam Ellinger physically can. And we all know what we're talking about, the mobility, being able to step up in the pocket. I just love it. I love that aspect. And I really hope that this is truly a stock up inside the organization for him, because if Jim Irsay can see, if you truly have a young quarterback like we should have gotten after Andrew Luck retired, if you get a young quarterback who is mobile and he opens up the playbook, you see, wow, he really is that guy. He really is a good coach. And again, could possibly end up leading to him keeping his job. But Frank Reich is a happy man right now. I think when he starts game planning, because it's now, oh man, well, when I start just telling Marcus Brady to not do anything bootleg wise with Matt Ryan, well, now we can put that info for Sam Ellinger now. So I'm excited about that and what designs Frank Reich is going to come up with. And even if he's drawing new stuff up in the offense this week, which I would imagine so. I would imagine in the last year or so, if I had to go with Sam Ehlinger, especially if he was your QB2 last year, if I had to go with him, I would run these plays, create these plays, send these plays to Sam Ehlinger. Hey, just have these ready. Know what you need to do on these. If you need to be ready, these are the plays we'll go with. So I'm excited in that aspect. But other than that, it's time to get into the game preview for this Sunday's game, pre-Halloween game between the Indianapolis Colts and the Washington Commanders. Like we said, in the preseason, Matt Ryan versus the returning Carson Wentz. It was going to be box office, need to watch, and it has turned into Sam Ehlinger versus Taylor Heineke. So kind of mirroring each other both as players, but breaking this game down a little bit. My first point I wanted to ask, how does this is another thing we're going to get into. How does Ehlinger's mobility improve the Colts' chances to win? Landon, I'm going to start with you on this. What would your answer to that question be?
Well, I mean, I think you kind of touched on it this last bit where I think it opens up their playbook a little bit more. You're able to do more things. You're able to get the defense in kind of situations where they're thinking now instead of just being able to attack, which is what they would have done. Should Matt Ryan be back there behind this offensive line? Now you're having to account for Sam Ehlinger. It basically now, so whenever Matt Ryan's back there, there's something that you only had to worry about, and that was attacking the field at a vertical level. Like, you're not worried about anything else, just what's in front of you. Now with Ehlinger back there, you have to guard the field horizontally and vertically. And what that does is it spreads the defense out. They have to be a little bit less aggressive because you can't crash, the pocket, or, I mean, you could try, and it's all, I mean, this offensive line will let them do that with where they want to or not. But yeah, I think it just opens up things to be a little bit more efficient, a little bit more one read and go, possibly some off script plays, some quarterback run, some stuff like that. And I mean, I have points here about the Commanders defense we can get into, but I'll kind of let Marcus answer.
Oh, definitely. I feel like the mobility for Ellinger and his offense, I feel like this is definitely a big need for this team for sure. Because when you look at the certain plays that like Matt Ryan back in his history when he was at quarterback, you feel like, man, if he can just move over a little bit, or he can just run for the 5-yard gain instead of trying to do like a dink and dunk and try to force a pass to something that isn't open. Because there were certain teams that would just leave it open because they know Matt Ryan isn't running. Because like I said, like Len said, he was a sitting duck and he can't go so far. So for with this team, this is going to be an ultimate test. And I don't think a lot of teams have good film on Sam Ehlinger. So against the Washington Commanders, this could be a huge wake up call for the NFL to be like, hey, you better not leave him no lanes because he'll take off. We even seen the flashes in preseason when he went for that big scramble, juking defenders and scoring into the end zone. I mean, it is the preseason, but hey, I mean, we got to look at something. So we had to go off something. So I definitely think this is a big piece for the Colts offense that can add to what we can already do. And I think, like I said, young guys out there going to be battling out. This could be a potential dogfight. But with Sam Ehlinger back there, this can give us a better dogfight than what we have if Matt Ryan was there. The sitting duck is gone.
Golly, man, Matt Ryan's just catching slugs left and right. His mobility to me, and Landon touched on it, to me, I want to see how he performs with off-script plays. If he gets rushed out of the pocket, how is he? How is he on the run? How can he deliver some of these throws? Can he get his feet under him and deliver a throw? Of course, the cardinal sin, never throw across the body, but can he throw along the sideline? Can he throw to a guy running out of bounds? Can he throw a guy open in that setting? So that's my biggest thing that I want to judge, especially if you want to be a franchise quarterback. That's an element that I think you have to have. We see it all the time. Obviously, we know what Mahomes is, but what Josh Allen got so good at is getting outside of the pocket. Instead of just being a pocket passer, he started showing a lot more of that mobility, and then he started delivering rockets downfield. And even if you go back to the wild card game against Josh Allen, it was right before halftime. The Colts are looking really good. And guess what? Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs worked their magic 2 catches along the sideline, incredible throws, incredible catches as well. Josh Allen getting outside of the pocket, and they go down and get a touchdown. So it is important to note that
he's not Josh Allen.
He's not Josh Allen.
It's important to note that first.
That's what I was going to say. It's important to note he's not Josh Allen, but at the same time, that mobility just adds a different threat the defense has to account for in the quarterback position. And I think we're going to see a completely different offense on Sunday. Either if it's not Sunday, I think we'll see it eventually, hopefully this season, because it's his first game. I'm not trying to raise this level of expectations on him so early. So that's what I wanted to touch on there. So in another aspect, and Landon, I'm going to get you started on this one. Another aspect with this, should the Colts go with up tempo instead of going to your usual ground attack, start out trying to punch you in the mouth? Me personally, I don't care about that. I don't want to know if Sam Ehlinger can smoothly hand the ball to Jonathan Taylor. He's been on scout team for the last 2 years. I know he can do that. Can he run an up-tempo offense? And what do you think that the attack should be offensively?
Well, one, yeah. I mean, I do think he can do it. I mean, he's an extremely bright guy. He's been in the system now. This is his second year. Like, he's very adept with the playbook at this point. I mean, you don't study for 2 years and not know how to run something, but I don't necessarily know. I mean, I guess it just kind of depends on Washington, really. It depends on how they play him. I mean, if they're going to be extremely aggressive and constantly blitz him and stuff like that, then yeah, you probably want to go up tempo and tire the defensive line out and make things a little bit rough on them. They can't substitute, and you're able to kind of move up and down the field and get the ball out quickly. But I mean, if they're going to play off and they're going to dare you to throw the ball, I mean, if they're going to play, middle field open, 2 deep safeties, like, hey, beat us throwing the ball, then yeah, I mean, you run Jonathan Taylor. You ram it down their throats until they come up and make you, stop it. So, I mean, it's very dependent on how the defense plays. That's kind of what you're looking for. But to me, I do think up-tempo offense, especially for a guy like Sam Ehlinger, I do think it can have its advantages, and it's able to get the play in quick. You're able to get the ball out quick. Like I said, you're tiring down that defensive line, so it kind of helps you out there a little bit as well. So I don't know. It's hard to say without necessarily seeing how they're going to come out and attack you. But
over here trying to get technical on the podcast. Come on now.
Well, I mean, like, that's what y'all brought me here for.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not going to come out there and be like, yeah, run it down their throats. And like they're stacked up like 5 deep and they're running like fire blitz and like cover zeros and stuff and be like, yeah, just run Jonathan Taylor. You're like, that's stupid. I don't know. Like, what? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, this I definitely think he can run up tempo for sure. With him being so young and bright and mobile, of course. Definitely think it's worth it, but I think the main mission is feeding Jonathan Taylor. Last week, Jonathan Taylor shown his promise to him actually being able to run the football again. And I think the blocking was better run-wise than passing-wise. So I think with the up-tempo offense with Sam Ehlinger, tiring out that defense, getting the ball back to Jonathan Taylor, I think that's a win-win situation personally, with Sam Ehlinger at the quarterback realm. So for me personally, for sure, I think up-tempo will probably be a better pace for Sam Ehlinger until he gets comfortable enough to run that slow down offense. So I think we should start off the gate with that, me personally, up-tempo offense for Sam. But I do think this benefits him, and I probably benefits Jonathan Taylor more in the long run, but we'll have to see that develop over time, of course.
Yeah, I think the up-tempo aspect, I feel like you have to get into a rhythm to start getting into that. So I'm not saying you open up the game immediately like how they did against I believe it was Tennessee. I don't want that, because that's immediately putting a lot of pressure on Sam Ehlinger already. I want to see maybe some running, but also some short passes, quick, short, easy passes, man. Just maybe if you want to run some mesh, some crossers, confuse the linebackers a little bit, make one of them bite. Even if you want to design a Nyheim Hines or Jonathan Taylor coming out of the backfield, make that linebacker pause, second guess for that split second, open up one of Pittman, Granson, just get a little quick pass, and then you start getting into the quick pass game and in the up tempo. Because again, if we're sitting here trying to evaluate a quarterback, we want to see how he performs, right? And this isn't the only game that he's going to start. He'll have 9 more chances after Washington. So I'm not saying you have to go strictly up tempo in this game, but at some point we got to see it, right? We got to see how he performs with it and how he commands that huddle. So that's on the offensive side of the ball. Another aspect, like Landon was saying, how does the defense play? If they're going to go zone in this game, I really, really want to see, for once, I don't want to see Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce. I want to see the tight ends. I want to see those 2 tight end sets Frank Reich likes to run. Jelani Woods, Kylan Grant. I guess I'll throw Molly Cox in here. What can these guys do? What can they do as a unit? Because now if you got that mobility, instead of just finding you're going to find your wide receivers, but these tight ends, man, I want to see some more production from this in between the 20s instead of in the red zone. I want to see a little bit more possessions for them, a little bit more targets, a little bit more designs and everything. I'm just big on tight end. I don't think I'll ever leave it alone until Frank Reich is no longer here. Switching to the defense, the Colts secondary versus the Commandos. Y'all ever seen that movie? Toy Soldiers?
Yeah.
Y'all ever seen that?
It was at the
We are the Gorgonites. Yeah, I don't know. But
you said Gorgonite? Was it the Gorgonites?
Yeah, we are the Gorgonites.
Yeah. That movie's fire.
Man, dude, that's back in the day. I think I watched that when I was like 4 or 5 years old, anyways. But yeah, it was back long time ago. But getting back into the game here while we're over here sitting trying to do cinema reviews, I think this is what's intriguing to me. So Terry McLaurin coming back home to Indianapolis. We already know what that is, right? He's going to line up inside, outside. They're going to throw him all over the field, maybe try to get him away from Stephon Gilmore. This is a game where you're looking at Kenny Moore. If you want to go outside, you'll face Stephon Gilmore. If you want to go inside, we'll match you up with Kenny Moore. Kenny Moore, kind of the consistency is like this. Before it was just going straight down, diving into a lake. But now it's kind of going up, kind of going down, differentiates every Sunday. But how, Landon, if you're a defensive coordinator, if you're Gus Bradley, and you see this offense, okay, Carson Wentz isn't going to be there, but you have tons of tape on Taylor Heineke. He can go off script. He can use his legs, but you also know what his tendencies are. He can't make too many throws outside the numbers. He will try to take that deep shot. He will try to work the middle of the field. If you're a defensive coordinator, how are you approaching this game plan against a Taylor Heineke?
All right. Well, so I did watch the last game, of course, with him playing in Green Bay. And they did win that game, but he did struggle some, and there were some notes that I had in this game. And one of them, well, a few of them. So if you want me to kind of go down the list on what I'm looking for from this, we can go. Heineke, he locks onto his receivers and he struggles going through his progressions. And whenever he does go through, he tends to be late on his reads a lot. So he'll kind of force the ball there. He's very inaccurate when he's asked to stay in the pocket. He gets a little toesy, his footwork kind of gets a little, and he'll sail some balls, and he'll put the ball in danger. So, I mean, there will be chances for interceptions in this game. The running backs in this game, they like to get to the edge. They don't like going straight up, into Grover. So edge plays, containing that edge is going to be crucial in this game. That's where a guy like Kenny Moore is going to have a good game. Tyquan Lewis, Dio, they're going to have to show up big because these running backs really like to get to the edge. They run a lot of 11 and 21 personnel. So it's almost strictly what they run with Taylor Heineke. The end around with Curtis Samuel is a big threat in that offense. They love to get him in motion in the backfield and get him to the edge as well. So that kind of goes back to earlier where, you're going to have to to watch the edges in the run game some. Taylor Heineke is careless with the ball. Whenever he runs or whenever he does anything, he never has two hands on the ball. He's always has one hand on it. So there's going to be opportunities for you to strip the ball whenever you get into the back.
Might be a good game for Shaquille Leonard to return.
Yeah, and Yannick Ngakoue. This, say what you want about him, he hasn't played well, but he is kind of adept at going for those sack fumbles. Whenever he can get pressure, he tends to do that instead of wrapping up, and closing on the sack. He does tend to go for the ball. So this could be a good game
Strip
for him
sacks,
to do that.
Hey, I'll take strip sacks over sacks.
Yeah, all day. Taylor Heineke, he is really good against the blitz, or at least he was against Green Bay. So whenever they brought a lot of pressure, he's able to get vertical and he can find his outlets very easily. He's adept at that. There's one player on that offense, though, that I am attacking every play. And that is the right guard, Sadiq Charles. I know, not the right guard, Matt Pryor. This is their version of Matt Pryor. This guy gets killed on a weekly basis. There is no play that if it's early in the downs, Grover Stewart's lining up on it. If it's a pass rushing down, there is not a single third down I do not have DeForest Buckner isolated on Sadiq Charles in this game.
Didn't he play left tackle at LSU? I could have swore he did. I could have swore he did the year they went to the CFB.
Yeah, I mean, he might have. I'd have to look at it, but all I know is what I've seen from him in multiple games now. And he's actually the second, so he came in relief of their starter that also wasn't getting it done.
Yeah,
and he's been god awful. So yeah, that's a guy that I'm going after constantly in this game.
Bang bang. Yeah,
yeah. That's just a little quick notes.
Hey man, I'm a fan of Taylor Heineke. I love me some Taylor Heineke, man. I may or may not have wrote an article about maybe making a trade for Taylor Heineke and sending Carson Wentz to Washington. So, hey, maybe we would have been better off with Taylor than we were Matt because of the mobility. But let's go ahead and get into keys of the game for this one. And we're each going to have one. Marcus, let's start with you.
Key to the game is attacking Taylor Heineke for sure. I think that's going to be a big thing, especially you know how I feel about the Colts being at home. I feel like they have a slight advantage for some reason. And the last time I said that, it came into truth when we beat the Jacks. But hey, it is what it is. But I think attacking Taylor will be a huge key, and I do need to see Kenny Moore trying to attack Taylor Heineke coming off that edge rushing. We've seen a little flash of that last week. He did a little dance and celebration, but I think this game for sure, if we're sending more rushers to Taylor Heineke, this could probably be a huge day for Stephon Gilmore because Landon, he incited it how interceptions can happen. But I mean, if we're sending more heat and you're forcing the ball towards Gilmore, maybe even Isaiah Rodgers, this could be a huge day for the defense. And then it relieves the pressure off, Sam Allegor on the offensive side if the defense is hitting on all cylinders. So I do think sending pressure on Heineke could be a huge key to seeing some type of success for the offensive side for the Indianapolis Colts.
All right, yeah. So for me, it is the aggressive nature of their defense, and it's how I'm attacking it. So it's I'm using running back motion with Hines. I know they were a little susceptible because their linebackers do play so close to the line of scrimmage. They're very susceptible to screens. They're susceptible to play action and RPOs. And I know you mentioned it earlier with kind of the crossers and all that kind of stuff. It is open there. But yeah, I'm looking at tight end screens. I think Colin Granson could have a big game if you're able to utilize him. Screens from Nyheim Hines. Possibly getting him on the move there. And then also there's another guy that I'm attacking as well here. So I gave you one on the offensive side who I'm attacking. There's another guy I'm attacking here, and that is number 37. His name's Rashad Wildgoose. What a name, Wildgoose. But he has the tendency, he gets very, very, very grabby in coverage. I mean, very grabby. So this would be the perfect game to isolate that dude and possibly take some deep shots on him with Alec Pierce or Pittman, and either let him get a defensive pass interference or let those guys go up and eat. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for, is just taking advantage of the aggressive nature of the defense in Washington.
I guess I'm getting a little lazy on this one, but just score one more point than Washington. Just win, give some get good vibes back into Lucas Oil Stadium inside West 56th Street. Just get good vibes back in the stadium and score one more point than Washington at the end of the day. So that's my take. I guess I got a little lazy with it, but just find a way to win, and maybe the morale of these guys is going to start boosting up. So I don't know what to expect from Sam Ehlinger. It's going to be his first start, but getting into predictions here, I guess I'll go ahead and kick it off. We'll go to Marcus, and then we'll finish with Landon. I mentioned earlier in the week on the emergency pod, I would have gone with Washington if Matt Ryan was here, but the unknown of Sam Ehlinger and kind of the, element of surprise that we have in this game, there's not really a lot of film on Sam, but outside of vanilla play calls that really kind of don't show what Sam can really do this Sunday. So I like that. I like the chance. I like the element of surprise. So I'm going to go with the Colts in this one. And shockingly, I have them scoring more than 20 points, and I have them going 23-14.
That's kind of interesting because you're right around with me. I'm going to go 24-13, but I do think it's going to be some field goals from the Indianapolis side. Might be a little rusty offenses, but I do think the special teams and the defense is definitely going to have that type of feel because we're at home. If we was on the road, it'd be a different story. But since we're at home, I'm going to give the defense and special teams the upper hand this week. So 24-13 is my prediction, and Indianapolis Colts wins.
Man, I want to take Washington, but also too, like I don't know, like there is that Colts fandom in me that I want to take the Colts. I think logically Washington could come away with this just because we don't know what Sam is yet out there. But I will say, like, I have a lot of, I can't spend all week talking about how much faith I have in Sam and then pick him to lose. So I'm gonna stick with my guns here, but I do think it's a little bit more low scoring. I've got 17-14 Colts.
I can definitely see that too. It kind of goes back to that saying, the Colts were a bad, boring football team, and they could probably just be a bad, fun team. If they can be bad fun and still win, I'm all for it. So other than that, that has been the preview for this Colts and Commanders game this Sunday. And, man, I can't wait for that one. We got a good slate of college football going on. Some NBA stuff is back. Never putting Jokic and Bradley Beal in my slip again because both of them tanked back-to-back parlays of mine. Could have walked away with about $500, but no, screw both of them, okay? So other than that, okay, before I, go crazy, got to control myself. Any other closing remarks, guys? Anything else?
I will say this, starting tonight, this is Thursday and we're recording this, 27 days straight of football, I believe, 20 between college and the NFL. There is not a single day in the next 27 days that does not have a football game on. I'm excited, ready to get to work. And yeah, go Colts, go Sam.
Yeah, I kind of want Sam to have himself a decent day. I know the crowd's going to be electric. I know how it's going to be. I just want him to take it easy for sure. And then I want him to also remember, if the pressure gets too bad, do what Matt Ryan didn't do. Just hand it off to Jonathan Taylor. He's right there behind you. And he can definitely take away all the pain because he's shown up last week, but we just forgot about him. So I hope Sam doesn't forget about him. And I hope Frank didn't either. And I feel like this team, well, we'll talk about it later if they do win. I'll talk about it later.
I hope they don't forget about Nyheim Hines. Hell, you're paying him more than you are Jonathan Taylor. So other than that, guys, this has been another episode of the Blue Stable Podcast. Make sure you are following myself, Marcus, and Landon on Twitter. The links to our profiles will be in the description below. If you haven't already, make sure you leave a like to this video if you had the Colts winning this game. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you are notified anytime content drops on the Blue Stable Podcast on YouTube. So other than that, we will see you on Sunday post-game, hopefully talking about a win to start Sam Ehlinger's season. We'll see you.